Since the creation of Reddit, fans have had the opportunity to discuss their own personal theories on films to no end with total reckless abandon. While some of them are totally outlandish, there are actually some that hold weight. We've curated a list of our 25 favorite Pixar theories that we believe might actually be true. Join us as we sift through the best of the best. Okay, let's start off with a big one. There's a theory that every single Pixar movie is interconnected. A conspiracy theorist named John Negroni wrote a book that explains that the timeline begins with Brave. There, animals begin to take on human characteristics when the queen turns into a bear. Over the course of time, animals interbreed and are able to speak. But then, surprise, surprise, humans take advantage of that ability and learn to harness their power like Charles Manson up. By the time we see Finding Nemo, animal intelligence has grown significantly. Things take a turn in Cars when mankind has destroyed the planet so much that it is uninhabitable for them. And thanks to WALL-E, life on Earth begins again. In A Bug's Life, the ant Flick is a free-thinking keener who just wants to help out his colony. When one of his inventions backfires and ruins the harvest, he becomes a social pariah and is exiled. He is determined to right his wrong, and so decides to befriend some bigger bugs to stand up to the grasshoppers who each year take from him and his community. He believes that his new recruits will be the perfect candidates for a bug uprising. At first glance, you may not question this plot. Theorists, however, believe that the story is a metaphor for colonialism and speaks to the historical struggle of the oppressed. The grasshoppers represent the colonizers coming in and taking resources and exercising their military power on the minorities, the ants. Pixar's Up is truly one of the most devastating movies we've ever seen. It should come with a warning before that opening montage because that first couple minutes of the movie are straight up scarring. For those of you who have seen it, you'll know that at the beginning of the film we see a sweet couple of kids meet, grow old together, and then the woman tragically dies and leaves her husband heartbroken. A theory suggests that after Ellie passed, Carl died shortly after of a broken heart, and what the movie is his adventure in the afterlife. We hope that if this is actually true, it means he will be reunited with his sweetie and that they'll be able to spend eternity together. In Finding Nemo, there's a theory that suggests that Nemo could be a figment of Marlin's imagination. After Marlin lost his wife and his children, he entered into a period of such intense distress that he went into denial about the whole thing and fabricated the idea of one of his sons surviving to cope with the loss. What we know to be a beautiful father-son tale could actually be one big metaphor for Marlin going through the stages of grief. When Nemo gets captured by the fishing boat, he experiences anger and will stop at nothing to get him back. The last step, acceptance, happens at the end of the film when Marlin is finally able to let Nemo have independence. In Toy Story 2, we meet the character Wheezy, a pitiful little penguin who was shelved due to his broken squeaker. When Woody discovers Wheezy gathering dust, he's lodged in between two books, embarrassed at his predicament. He tells Woody his woeful tale, that he tried to yell for help but no one could hear him, and then alerts the toys about the upcoming yard sale. One theory about this little sad sap is that he is secretly a villain. Fans suggest that after logging multiple hours alone on the shelf, he became jealous of Woody and the gang and used the yard sale as a way to get the other toys sold. With Woody out of the picture, Andy might give him more attention. If you recall, at the end of Monsters, Inc., Sully totally ghosts Boo and she's left questioning why her new blue friend has disappeared. A theory suggests that after this heartbreak, Boo decides to learn how to time travel so she can track down her pal. Because she's logged some hours in Monstropolis, Boo knows that the secret to jumping from place to place lies in the magical hanging doors. While traveling through time and space, Boo finally lands in the world of Brave, where she meets Merida. Because we can see a carving that looks very much like Sully in one of the scenes, we believe Boo is the witch and has spent all this time looking to reunite with her old friend. Another Monsters, Inc. theory is that Bing Bong from Inside Out was actually a monster who worked with Sully and Mike. At Monsters Incorporated, monsters are hired to be what is known as a scarer and are assigned multiple kids to haunt at night. Doors are activated and used as portals to their bedrooms so they can visit places all over the world. By the end of the Monsters, Inc. movie, Sully and Mike discover that kids aren't dangerous and toxic as they were taught, but rather wonderful and kind. More importantly, they discover that children's laughter is actually stronger than their screams. Fans believe Bing Bong was sent to Riley to collect her laughter energy, but Riley believed he was just an imaginary friend. In Toy Story 2, we meet Jessie, the fast-talking, feisty cowgirl doll who immediately won our hearts. Fans have reason to believe that Andy's mom was her previous owner. In the films, Andy is seen wearing a cowboy hat that matches Jessie's. Also, in Jessie's origin story, we see an image of her lying on a bed beside the very hat Andy wears. Coincidence? We think not. We also think that Emily gets her son to play with vintage toys from the Roundup gang because she's nostalgic for her past. We lost our minds when Jesse was dumped in a donation bin, and now we know who's behind the heartbreak. So it all adds up that Andy's mom is the true Toy Story villain. Case closed. In Cars, upon hearing Owen Wilson's voice and watching action-packed races, you were probably having too much fun to contemplate its deeper meaning. But one teeny tiny detail that zooms past the average viewer is that there are no humans in this world. Given that these cars are clearly man-made, we can deduce that at some point humans were present to wipe down those windows and pump those tires. Fans have two theories that explains the eerie absence. One is that the cars decided humans no longer served them, so they turned against mankind and ran them all over, creating a particularly gruesome amount of roadkill. And the other very feasible explanation is that humankind was wiped out by their own pollution. Let's all make sure to be environmentally conscious so this theory doesn't turn into reality. There's a theory that suggests Andy's parents are going through a divorce in Toy Story. While we now know that Andy's mom is a toy abandoner, we don't know much about his dad. We never see him around, and he's not present in any family photos. We're thinking either she's always been a single mom and made the decision to have the kids on her own, or she took the photos down because she had a falling out with Andy's dad. If we look at the story, we can see that she's moving houses. This could be because the divorce was recent and she wants a new space for herself and her new life. On top of all that, she's never seen wearing a wedding ring. If you've seen Ratatouille, you'll remember that at the end of the film, the very snobby and very French food critic is moved by Remy's dish. He gives it a sensational review and admits it reminds him of his mother's cooking. Fans decided to investigate more about this critic's past and discovered something incredible. In the first scene of the movie, Remy and his family are forced out of an old woman's house. In her kitchen, we see various objects like a teapot, some jars, and stove handles. These exact same objects are in Ego's memories when he has a flashback at the end of the film. So that means that the old woman at the start of the movie is actually Ego's mother. That's why Remy can cook the dish so perfectly. Mind blown. One interesting Reddit theory suggests that Frozen and Brave are linked. It says that the city of Arendelle was on the opposing side of the war that united the clans in Brave. They point out that Arendelle was originally built as a military fort during the war and suggest that both the Duke of Wesselton and Elsa's father fought in it. If they were fighting at the same time, that would mean Elsa and Merida are around the same age and that they're living parallel lives. Some more evidence that they have is that when the Duke discovers Elsa's powers, he's not shocked but rather afraid, as if he's seen this before. Perhaps because he's encountered the sorceress in Brave. This next theory is a bit of a downer. While the first theory we looked at suggested that there was hope for planet Earth, this one says that there is absolutely no chance for humankind to survive. In WALL-E, we get a glimpse into the 99th century, where environmental neglect has caused the Earth to be uninhabitable and humans have been evacuated. In this garbage-strewn wasteland, we meet Wally, a waste allocation load lifter whose job it is to clean up the mess. While the film was made famous for criticizing human environmental impact and consumerism, fans suggest that it was actually Wally himself that ended the Earth. They say that Wally actually dismantles the cleaning units, and with them out of commission, the Earth goes to ruin. To counter that, there's a way less heavy theory about Wally that will cheer you up. Remember in the film when he finds a little plant amongst the heap of human trash? Expert theorists have suggested that the very plant he finds ends up growing into the tree that sustains life for the colony of ants in a bug's life. This again ties back to the original theory we discussed that all Pixar films are related. At this point in the Pixar timeline, humans are no longer living on Earth. In WALL-E, they have left the planet, and this could be during the time where Earth has begun to rebuild itself and is finally harboring life again. Let's all agree that Randall Boggs from Monsters, Inc. is the scariest Pixar character out there. Though in Monsters, Inc. we meet him as an evil character who wants to capture children for the screams, in Monster University we get more of a backstory. Sporting sweet purple glasses, we meet a young Randall who is all freckles and timidness as a teen. It wasn't until he felt left out by Mike and Sully that he took a turn for the worse. After that, theorists believe that when Randall started working at Monsters, Inc., he was given Andy from Toy Story to scare. During the scene where Randall is practicing scare tactics, we can see proof of this as he's casting himself on the bedroom wall to look like Andy's wallpaper. We're not done with Monsters, Inc. quite yet. This theory will be looking at Randall's direct competition, James P. Sullivan, or as we know him, Sully. Sully is a gigantic blue and purple monster with a bewitching pair of periwinkle eyes. Though he looks soft to the touch, don't let it fool you. He has horns on his head, sharpened claws, and when he roars it can shake the ceiling. He's pretty much solely responsible for generating power for many neighborhoods in the city of Monstropolis. While in the films we see him excelling at life, there is a theory that it doesn't end so well for him. In the Pixar short Party Brachiosaurus Rex, there's a toilet seat cover that has the exact pattern of his skin. Chilling. Our next theory ties into the initial theory that we covered that says all Pixar films are connected. Apparently, the monsters from Monsters, Inc. evolved from primitive man. Once upon a time, humans and monsters lived in harmony, and no two monsters looked the same. They were unique, with everything from scales to fur, and they came in all colors of the rainbow. In the special features on the Monsters, Inc. DVD, it explains that monsters and men once lived side by side, but monsters were eventually driven away. They hid at an enchanted island where magical fruit gave them physical characteristics of the animals that ate them. Having evolved into unsightly creatures, they decided to head back to the humans and use scare tactics to feel superior. One particularly fun theory that we found states that Edna from The Incredibles was once a villain. For one, she seems pretty captivated by all things that have to do with danger and is mysteriously well versed with weapons, lest we forget the flamethrowers. When we take a look at her character, right off the bat she's intimidating. Even her house is frightening and strangely well guarded. What sealed the deal for us was how the theorist explained that Edna thinks like a villain. When she made the suit for Jack, she knew he would be a target and could predict that he would need protection. An interview with Jay Ward, the creative director of Cars, gave us a little insight into where these beings came from and what secrets lie under the hood. Before being interviewed, fans concocted the theory that the characters in Cars have human parts, which sounds incredibly far-fetched. But when Ward was asked why the cars have doors, he replied, "You'll never see the doors open because the brains and the eyes are in there and we don't want anything falling out of the side." That, quite literally, is what nightmares are made of. And while we're happy we got to the bottom of this theory, we're mad we now have to live a life with that image forever burnt into our brains. You might notice that many details in Pixar films are familiar and yet somehow off. Take The Incredibles, for instance. Some of the garb looks familiar, but it's a mix of 60s style with new age inventions. We believe that this world is existing in an alternate universe in which humans have created new technologies at a faster rate. But we have to go farther back than that. In The Good Dinosaur, we witness an asteroid about to hit our precious home. But in the movie, it misses Earth entirely and the dinosaurs are able to keep evolving. Because of this, the world as we know it has changed and allows for new species to grow and come to be. When watching Inside Out, we left the theaters with our hearts a little fuller, and yes, let's be honest, tear-streaked faces. But there is one theory that suggests that the film is a little darker than we gave it credit for. Recall the moment when Riley goes into her mom's purse and is looking for her credit card. When you look closely, something doesn't add up. Riley's mother's name is Jill Anderson, but the card reads K. Ann Anderson, a totally different name. The film alludes to the family's financial issues when they moved to San Francisco. Could the move be because of their credit card fraud? We'll leave it to you to discuss in the comments. In the Pixar universe, memories are a very powerful way for characters to transport to different dimensions and explore deeper facets of themselves. In Inside Out, we see Riley's memories change and adapt with age, and she looks back on a previous chapter of her life. They take on new meaning, and she conjures up the memory of her playing hockey with her dad. While once associating it with joy, she now looks at it with sadness. In Coco, memories are the only thing that keep a spirit attached to the world of the living. If someone remembers a person that has passed, that person can return on the Day of the Dead. Coco learns what family means and is able to understand the power of memory, connecting the film to Inside Out in deeper ways than we could have ever imagined. In Pixar movies, we see that human emotions are integral to all storylines. Whether it's dealing with loss in Up or jealousy between Woody and Buzz in Toy Story, each film makes us question our humanity and empathize with the characters on screen. But more often than not, Pixar unpacks human emotion in a myriad of ways, suggesting that it is more powerful than even Mr. Incredible himself. In Inside Out, emotions are personified, and we get a closer look into the mind of a young girl named Riley and see what she's dealing with on a day-to-day basis. We see how her human emotions affect her interpersonal relationships and understand how her own energy is affected by them. So yeah, the theory is Pixar is our personal therapist, and the theory has proven to be true for many of us. One of the big life lessons in the world of The Incredibles is simple: no capes. Fashion icon Edna Mode explains the dangers of wearing a cape, and we get to see a particularly humorous montage of supers who meet their end because of this poor fashion choice. Among these supers is Stratagale, who gets sucked into the turbine on a jumbo jet. Later in the movie, we see that Stratagale was a high school student when her record flashes on screen. Theorists say that Edna was so devastated by this death that she could not forgive herself. It was only until Syndrome came to her for a costume that she was able to redeem herself. She made Syndrome an outfit with a cape, knowing that it would be his downfall. Last but certainly not least, we have the theory that the Pizza Planet truck from Toy Story connects multiple Pixar movies. It made its shining debut in Toy Story, and since then has been a favorite cameo in every Pixar movie since. In A Bug's Life, the truck was spotted outside the RV that is central in Bug City. In the movie Cars, the truck comes to life and is given a face. In the movie, the truck can be seen watching races. While those are the more obvious examples, in many films the truck zooms by or is caught in traffic in the background. Next time you see a Pixar movie, we encourage you to keep your eyes peeled and wonder, how does this truck traverse through all these movies like some sort of interdimensional time machine? We hope you enjoyed our screen rant. Were there any theories that we missed? If so, let us know in the comments and we'll be sure to cover them in the future. On that note, please subscribe to our channel on your way out to ensure you'll never miss another video again. Thanks for joining us and see you next time.